Pokopia can feel a little bit overwhelming with people online telling you what to do. With the game being so open-ended, there is no real answer, but what I do have for you is some fundamental tips that I wish I knew when I first started playing the game. Tip number one I have for you is don't worry about making everything look perfect. I have just completed the main story and this is currently my dream island, my sandbox island rather. And as you can see, it's barren and empty. I have basically chucked all of the Pokemon in this little corner over here. The only thing I've built so far is this little pagoda thing that's over the entrance. And it took me like 2 hours just to do this. And you know what? That's fine. There is no rush. I've seen people already making the most extravagant places. Like this whole map, I've seen people who have basically completed it already, and it's just so unnecessary. In fact, this is the main area of the first place that we visit, and as you can see, I haven't really done much. I removed the big mound of grass, but other than that, it looks horrendous. There's a big empty gap where the road is not there, and this is just perfect for me. There is absolutely no reason to be comparing yourself to other people online. It was like when Animal Crossing New Horizons came out and everybody had a perfect 5-star island within like 3 days and everybody was building this big extravagant stuff. And I feel like on social media as well, there's a lot of pressure to make everything look beautiful and perfect. People are building these big extravagant things. They haven't even completed the main story yet. And it's just like all of this is happening just for engagement, and it just makes you feel crap about yourself for not having done the same. Do not get involved. Stay in your own lane. Take it slow. Whether it takes you 10 hours or 100 hours to complete the main story, just enjoy doing whatever the hell you're doing and don't make any comparisons. When you first discovered the museum, I just know you said to yourself that you were going to rebuild everything. You told yourself that you would be absolutely doing this place up. You said that you would be redoing all of the exhibits. I'm here to tell you categorically that that is not what you're going to be doing. The exact same could be said for the SSN. You are not, I repeat, you are not going to be renovating this entire ship. It's not happening. With that being said, go ahead and steal everything that you see. Punch away at the walls, steal the linen lined walls, steal all these stone pillars. As you can see, I have completely like ransacked this place. There's barely anything left. And it's because I know I'm not going to be rebuilding it. So I'm just going to steal all of the stuff and then use it for all of the other places that I'm going to build. You need to be a dirty criminal. Ransack everywhere, steal everything from everywhere. I promise you, you're not rebuilding it, because I make this huge mistake of not collecting all of this cool furniture that I was seeing because I had this delusion that I was just going to rebuild everything that was already there. So as a result, I had to craft a lot of furniture myself, which meant gathering a lot of resources and spending way too much time doing all of that. As you build up your world, you may want to search for a specific Pokemon, and it can become really overwhelming when everybody kind of moves away from their home. So tip number one I have for you is to stand over one of your Pokemon's habitats. This is Pidgeotto's habitat. Take out some honey from your inventory and just use it on their habitat. And then the Pokemon will immediately turn up, which is absolutely game changing. And I didn't know this for ages, and it saves me so much time now looking for specific Pokemon. Another great tip is with Pokemon who are flying like Pidgeotto, or Pokemon which have teleport, is if you want to search for any very specific Pokemon, hit the plus icon to search for the Pokemon. When you click on a flying Pokemon, they will fly you there instantly. And the same thing happens with Pokemon who have the teleport ability. They will teleport you straight to where that Pokemon is. It is incredibly useful, especially when you're trying to do your dailies with Pokemon like Vespiquen, who will give you furniture in exchange for 3 pieces of honey. So the chances are you may have come across these yellow boxes, which is the community box. bricks. And it says place it somewhere and the Pokemon with the gather speciality will put items in they've gathered. And it says also, if a Pokemon who can process materials is near the box, they can process materials in it. So I actually didn't really understand what this was, so I just ignored it, and I'm sure you guys have done the same. And I'm telling you now how useful this is. You may or may not already know that Pokemon who have the fire ability can process clay into bricks, just like how Cypher can process wood into lumber. Well, with Pokemon who have these abilities, place the community box pretty much next to their home where they live. In this case, I can put in all of my squishy clay that's used to make bricks, and autonomously this Growlithe will just take out the clay from here and start turning it into bricks for me without me even having to prompt him to do it. It's incredibly useful because this can also happen when you're off doing other things, and it's essentially how you can create a material farm or a Pokemon prison, however you want to label it. Raising up your environmental level can be quite difficult. One way that you can raise it very high instantly is to simply just build a lot of houses. In fact, I haven't really been doing much for the Pokemon that live here. I've literally just been building houses, and that community center level is going up a lot. In fact, I have just built a Pokemon, and this has raised up my environmental level. Another great one is if you ever find things like fountains, the fountain box, make stuff like this as well, because these things are also going to raise your environmental level. You don't just have to look after the Pokemon. You don't have to just constantly buy them toys and make your island a mess like I did when I first started playing. As you can see, it's very messy here. A much better way is just to start building all of the houses, which I've started doing along here. I can't stress enough, do not get too ambitious too quickly. Once you've completed the end game, you gain access to Magnemite, who can do a ton of things. The best one is like terraforming with blocks. You can actually place multiple blocks down at the exact same time. You can replace blocks that are like in the ground, or you can just build new blocks on top of it. You can also do really, really useful things, like you can pick up entire trees and you can replace them or put them in your inventory, which you can't do without Magnemite. He's a very, very useful little thing, and he can also fly you everywhere. It is literally just taking you into Minecraft creative mode. So do not underestimate this guy, and you do only unlock him once you've completed the main story. So I'm not saying rush the main story, but what I am saying is make sure that you don't try and be too ambitious too quickly, because you are going to waste a lot of time building things that would have just been really easy for you from the offset. Carry on building houses, but when it comes to doing mass terraforming and things, maybe save it until once you've reached the end game. So you may have heard online that you should not build a house too big, because if it's too big, the game doesn't register it as a house, which can be problematic, but that's actually not a problem. And I do have a solution for you. And that solution does not involve making smaller houses. So if you mark out a really, really big square space like I've done here, and then you attempt to add a door so that the game officially recognizes it as a house, you'll see nothing happens. On the other hand, if I craft out a much smaller space and then I add a door to this space, you'll see that the game does recognize it as an empty house. You're probably thinking, can I just remove the wall? But unfortunately, you can't do that. So you can't create like a house with multiple rooms. So my biggest piece of advice is simply don't register it as a house. You see, even though this is not officially registered as a house, you can still have Pokemon live in there. If you create a habitat inside of your house, then you can simply get Pokemon to live inside of the habitat. So even though it's not officially a house, you can simply just create habitats within the house. And in fact, when you scroll down through the habitat decks, you'll see things like just having a bed with a side table and an alarm clock will register it as a habitat. Even though this is technically Japanese habitat, any Pokemon can technically live here, right? So it would be a good idea if you're making a big house to see what kind of furniture related habitats can you make, such as a kitchen, and then simply just move a Pokemon in that way for creating some big houses if that's your thing. Trying to store items in Pokopia is hell. That's pretty much all. There is no hack for the inventory issue in Pokopia. If you guys have any tips on that, let me know, because I would love to know. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the rest of the tips. I hope you found them very useful. Make sure you subscribe if you did, and let me know what you want to see next. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.